Welcome once again to our platform for investor education. Throughout the many topics in our learning modules, we've talked about saving, investing in different asset classes, about diversification, and provided you with a framework for it. The reason behind the entire PI effort is really to expose Indians to both the risks and rewards of investing in financial markets. In doing so, we do recognize that the hesitation that many of us feel about participating in equity markets, even as they do so gradually through systematic investment plans. There is a certain mindset, some amount of faith that is necessary before an equity culture takes hold in our country. Even though the Indian equity market has been quite an attractive story since liberalization at the turn of the century. To give you a sense of what I mean, Figure 1 presents you with a map of the world which is constructed quite differently. When you look at it, it looks familiar. What you may notice is that the size of the countries reported in it are very different. This is because they are represented not according to the land area allotted to them, but rather by the size of their equity markets. So let's talk about comparative equity markets around the globe. Looking at the map, of course the US shows up as the largest equity market. Both Japan and the United Kingdom are much larger on that map of equities than their geographical size would indicate. Though geographically small, but economic wealthy, the countries of Western Europe dominate the middle of this map. These are regions that have embraced an equity culture for quite a while. Look where India is. It is small, much tinier than its typical geographical map size. Africa is very conspicuous by its absence. About the only part of it that shows up is South Africa, which is still quite small. Russia, one of the BRIC markets we've talked about earlier, is barely visible. The difference between its equity market size and geographical size is very stark. Of course, this representation indicates that different degrees of wealth and different degrees of economic condition prevail in those regions. But I would like to suggest to you that at least a part of the story is that different countries on this map are at different stages in their evolution when it comes to their citizens embracing equity and financial markets. In India, government plans over past budgets, economic advisors at our ministries have all advocated and continue to advocate a shift towards emphasizing wealth creation. They support growth-oriented initiatives, all calling for a move towards increasing our $2.5 billion economy as I speak. It will be a bumpy road, but the general direction seems quite clear. Even our citizenry has become aspirational in this regard. But note too that this equity culture does not come about easily. It is related to trust in people, to trust in institutions, and how they interact. It is intertwined with the social, political, and religious fabric of each nation. It will take us a while. Let's next compare performances across equity markets. Figure 2 offers another look at the global equity landscape. What this tells you is how equity markets over the last 2 decades have done in different parts of the globe. When you look at this chart, what you find is Indian equities shining. Indian equities, as represented by the Sensex, show that the value of rupees 100 invested in 2000 has increased about 7 times. We know by now that the Sensex only represents large cap companies, but the story is evident in the mid and small cap space as well. It's only a little more bumpy, a little more volatile. On this chart, the US appears second, but not by much. Emerging markets and European equities, whose indexes are shown in the third and fourth lines on this chart, haven't really performed very well. Rupees 100 invested there hasn't really compounded too much. What all of this reinforces, something we know by now too, that the choice of equity investment in different sectors and different locations does matter. I realize that a 20-year look in some minds might not be long enough to provide a convincing case for equity investment. For us in India, since liberalization, market information and data has only recently become reliable, so we are unable to give you a much longer history. But this 20-year picture should give you some sense of how our markets have evolved. If you had participated in them in the past, you would be feeling quite happy, wouldn't you? Let's look within asset classes in India next. Not just at equities. This look with other asset classes appears in figure 3. Again, it shows you the value of the compounding of rupees 100, but now invested in some of the different asset classes we have described in earlier topics. 2 in particular have historically been very popular with Indian households, as I have said many times. Gold is one, fixed deposits a second, and the Sensex the third. As you can see from this chart, the way those graphs for gold and the Sensex move, it suggests that there has been some uncertainty, some volatility, some risk associated with long-term investments in them. Comparing that with the term deposit line, which is relatively flat, where you earn 7 or 8 or 9% a year on a 1 or 2 year fixed investment, tells you what Indian savers have been missing out. In our deep dives associated with this topic, we will show you more detailed versions of the information displayed in the last 2 figures. Our Pi site will continue to offer you such looks, so I urge you to come back for more. Thank you for watching.